So, when you hear Strait of Hormuz, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most people, it's oil, right? But what if I told you that's only a tiny part of the story? What if this little 39-kilometer strip of water is way more important, way more vital to our modern world than just fuel? This quote from Mohammed al-Hashemi really nails it. He says it's not an oil choke point, it's the aortic valve of globalized production. I mean, think about that for a second. The aortic valve, that's the main pipeline pumping life-giving blood from your heart to your entire body. If that thing gets clogged or fails, it's game over. And that's exactly the argument being made here about the Strait of Hormuz. So, if Hormuz is the valve, what exactly is flowing through the world's bloodstream? You guessed it, it's a whole lot more than just the gas for your car. Okay, yeah, oil and natural gas make up a huge chunk, about 60%. But look at that other 40%. This is where it gets really, really interesting. We're talking about almost half the world's supply of urea and sulfur. Why does that matter? Well, that's fertilizer, that's metal processing. Then you've got a third of the world's helium. You know, the stuff we need to cool the semiconductors that power basically all of our electronics. And that's not even mentioning all the aluminum and petrochemicals. So, see, this isn't just an energy story. This is about food, tech, and pretty much everything we manufacture. 48%. Just let that number sink in. Almost half the people on this planet, half, eat food that was grown using synthetic nitrogen fertilizers. And we just saw where a huge chunk of the key ingredients for that fertilizer comes from. It has to pass through that tiny strait. So a problem in Hormuz isn't just an energy crisis that makes gas prices go up. It could literally become a global food crisis. That's a whole different level of scary. So how on earth did this one little spot on the map become so important? Well, to get that, we've got to go back in time. Way back. Because the tensions we see today, they're not new at all. They're just the latest chapter in a story that's been going on for almost 1,000 years. And this timeline really lays it all out. For nearly a millennium, the story of Hormuz has boiled down to one simple rule. Whoever controls the gate gets to collect the tool. It doesn't matter if you were the local Kingdom of Hormuz back in the 11th century, the Portuguese Empire in the 1500s, or the British much later. The game has always been the same. If you command this passage, you control the flow of money and goods between East and West. And where did this whole idea of paying for passage even come from? It started with a local custom called kua. You can think of it like protection money, basically. It was common on trade routes all over. A weaker group would pay a brotherhood fee to a stronger one, and in return, they'd get safe passage and protection. It was the original sort of informal logic of the strait. And let me tell you, this system made the Kingdom of Hormuz ridiculously rich. There's this old 16th century Arab saying, if all the world were a golden ring, Hormuz would be the jewel in it. That really tells you everything. They just took this local custom and formalized it for every ship that wanted to pass through, and boom, they became this global hub of commerce. We're talking Marco Polo, the Chinese Admiral Zheng He, everyone came through Hormuz. So here's the key takeaway. When the Portuguese showed up in the 16th century, they didn't invent the idea of a toll. Oh no, they just institutionalized it. They took that local kua system and turned it into something much more bureaucratic and brutal. They called it the Cartaz system. It was basically a formal, state-run license to trade. Every single ship had to buy one or you'd get sunk. Simple as that. And this new institutionalized toll booth, well, it kicked off a whole new kind of fight. One that looks a lot like the conflicts we see today. A fight between big empires over who gets to collect the cash. And then came a huge shift in the power dynamic. In 1622, the English East India Company and Persia's Shah Abbas I teamed up. See, the Persians wanted their territory back, and the English, this rising new power, wanted to smash the Portuguese monopoly on trade. So they formed an alliance, and it completely changed the rules of the game in the Gulf. What's so fascinating is the treaty they signed afterward. It wasn't just a "we won the war" document. It was an economic contract. And check out that last point. All tolls from foreign ships would be split 50-50 between the English and the Persians forever. This was a game changer. It made toll-taking an official shared revenue stream between states. And that idea would stick around for a very, very long time. Okay, so let's fast forward. How does all this ancient history explain what's going on today? Because that age-old logic of tolls, it's now smashing head-on into our super-connected modern global economy. This gets us to the central paradox of Hormuz. Analysts have a cool term for it, a reflexive choke point.
What does that mean? It's pretty simple, actually. It means you can't use the strait as a weapon without shooting yourself in the foot. Any country that tries to shut it down is also blocking its own economic artery. You end up hurting yourself just as badly as you hurt your enemies, maybe even more. And this map shows you exactly why. On the left, you see all the countries shipping their oil out: Saudi Arabia, Iraq, the UAE, Qatar, Iran. And on the right, where it's all going. The key thing is, all those producers, the ones who literally control the strait's coastline, they are just as dependent on it being open as their customers are. They have to use that same exit to get their own stuff to the world market.
Now, check this out. There was this modern war game, a simulation run by the Blavatnik School of Government. They created this fictional crisis in 2026. And in their scenario, after getting attacked, Iran doesn't do what you'd expect. They don't just shut the whole strait down, because that would be self-destructive. No. Instead, they do something much smarter and much older. They start charging a transit fee for safe passage. It's the 900-year-old strategy all over again. Control the gate, collect the toll. And this is the big reveal, right? Even under insane military pressure, the basic economic logic of running a toll booth makes more sense than a total blockade. That reflexive nature of the choke point, the fact that you hurt yourself too, it forces any power in charge right back to that classic model. Just charge people to get through.
All right, so we've just traveled through 900 years of history, from merchant princes to modern warships. What's the bottom line? What should we take away from all this?
Okay, here are the big takeaways. Number 1, we have got to stop thinking of Hormuz as just an oil pipe. It's the aortic valve for our food, our electronics, our everything. Number 2, the fight over who runs the gate isn't a modern problem. It's an ancient one. Number 3, because it's a reflexive choke point, a crisis is more likely to lead to tolls than a total shutdown. And maybe the biggest takeaway of all, it shows us just how incredibly fragile our whole global system is, hanging by the thread of a single 39-kilometer wide passage. So that leaves us with one big question, doesn't it? For 1,000 years, power has gone to whoever controls this gate. The geography hasn't changed one bit, so why would the future be any different? As long as the world's economic lifeblood has to pump through this one single valve, the age-old struggle over who gets to control it and collect the fee is going to keep shaping our world.